Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Everything Football. I'm your host, Jonathan Big Tex Football. Everything Football 62, that is. Uh, I'm going to jump right into this whole thing. I wasn't going to even really care about even actually doing a show about this because of the such ridiculousness of it. But this thing is completely has sprouted legs and has just have ran everywhere. This whole thing with Cam Newton and this reporter. Now, if you haven't heard it by now, Cam made some particular a statement because a female asked him about routes. Should Cam maybe have answered in another different way? Possibly, but right. Just listen to it. If you haven't already heard it, here we go.
Take a lot of pride in seeing your receivers play well. Devin Funches seem to really embrace the physicality of his routes and making getting those extra yards. Does that give you a little bit of an enjoyment to see him kind of trust taking people?
It's funny to hear a female talk about routes.
It's funny to hear female talk about routes. That's what he said. It's funny to hear female talks for a female to talk about routes. Okay, let's go back.
Funny to
Him kind of trust taking people.
Let's go.
Does that
Let's
give
see
you
what
a
did
little
she.
bit of an enjoyment to see him kind of trust taking people?
It's funny to hear a
Let's
female
go back again.
Does that give you a little bit of getting those extra yards? Does that the physicality of yours play well? Devin Funches seem to really embrace
Talking about Devin Bunch.
the physicality of his routes and
What what he should have said to her? What do you mean by physicality? More physicality of running routes. When you walk, that's a physical act. If you're running a route, that's a physical act. What's the all of that is physicality. He's being more physical. Let's hear what she says again.
and making getting the physicality of Devin Funches who seem to really receivers play well. Devin Funches a pride in seeing your receivers play well. Devin Funches who seem to really embrace the physicality of his routes.
The physicality of his route. He's being physical anyway with just running a route. So what does she mean by the physicality of running a route or being more physical in running a route? And of course, Cam replies,
And making getting those extra yards. Does that give you a little bit of an enjoyment to see him kind of trust taking people?
it's funny to hear a female talk about routes.
because the guy's not used to no woman asking him about running routes. He's been in the league, what, 5, 6 years? So evidently he's never been asked about route running by a female reporter. Okay? That's it. Should he have answered it a completely different way in today's climate? Probably. But the way he should have answered it, what do you mean by the physicality of the route running that Devin Bunch is running? You're already being physical when you're running the route. So what other physicality? Are you talking about? Is he getting jammed off the line? Is he tangling up? Is he more aggressive when he's dealing with cornerbacks who's trying to jam him at the line and he's getting off of him and he gets into his route better, faster? Something like that. Made her explain herself because you can't say anything. What did he say that was sexist? I could understand if Cancer said it's funny, it's funny to see a woman with such big knockers like yours asking about route running or have a big back end or big ass like you have talking about routes. He didn't say that. He just said it was funny hearing a female asking him about routes because obviously this has never happened before. Then you had then this the shitstorm goes on. He gets dropped by Dannon, which if you look at the commercial, what is even that commercial in itself is sexism with the guy talking about could I get on or whatever, and the cheerleader come jumping up in his arms and all this other kind of stuff. But we're going to get into that later on about the more of the hypocrisy. I love football, always have loved football, always will love football. NFL hypocrisy on top of hypocrisy. Sexism, please don't even get me started on that. But I'm gonna start on that later on. But this is what this woman signed up for. She signed up for this. See, if the NFL, the National Football League, Major League Baseball, NBA, National Basketball Association, NHL hockey, you know what I'm saying? These are men-driven sports. If women are going to come into the door, if they're going to come in and be reported on, this is what they're going to have to deal with. They're going to have to deal with jocks with egos, jocks that have egos, and on top of that, millionaires, jocks that are plus that are young, millionaire, arrogant, egotistical, in the whole 9 yards. Things that have been handed to them left and right their whole career because of their athletic prowess. So you're gonna have to deal with this. I don't want to hear anything about the sexism. It was nothing sexism. She should have asked him what he should have broke her down. What do you mean about the physicality of his route running? Explain that to me. Flip it back on her because it made no sense because when you're running a route, you're being physical. Now she should, and if she's asking this, if she's asking the question, he's embracing tangling up with cornerbacks and getting them off of him and getting into his route where you can sit up there and throw the ball into him. He's not getting stopped at his route of being held up by a cornerback anymore like he was last year or last week or whenever the case may have been. That's how it should have went on. That's what he should have did. But he just went on and said, well, Bunchy's doing good or whatever and stuff like that. And then it turns into sister. And then she goes back in this whole thing about, I don't think it's funny, Jordan Rodrigo, whatever her name is. I don't think it's funny to be a female and talk about Ross. I think it's my job. And then I guess somebody asked him to do something because she jumps on Twitter because that's all anybody does is jump on this stupid Twitter. I spoke with him after and it was worse. I chose not to share because I have an actual job to do today. One, he will not keep me from. Well, if Cam is not there, you don't have a job, lady. So cut the crap. I'm tired of all this whole thing back and forth with this with athletes and reporters. It's been going on forever. But because she's a woman, it gets all this play. Because he said female, like I just said a few minutes ago, he didn't call her dame, he didn't call her broad. He didn't call her any of that stuff. He didn't mention about her body parts. He didn't say anything. He just said it was funny for a female asking him about route running. And he didn't do no stuff. He didn't lick his lips. He didn't do something like you go back and look at the old Mike Tyson video where the woman was trying to interview and Tyson just literally just basically, yo, you know what I'm trying to do. But that I guess that was just Tyson being Tyson. Or that was another era of time. That was 20 some years ago. At the end of the day, it's ridiculous. Athletes have went back and forth with reporters for eons, and it will continue to go on, saying he's being sexist. How was he being? He was being sexist based upon that. You know what I heard yesterday? I was watching ESPN, watching a football game. Can't remember which football game I was watching. Okay, and the reporter was talking about this new app that ESPN had. Boy, the men are going to really enjoy this app. Boy, they can sit up there and be watching their football, this, that, and the other. That's a sexist thing, and that's a sexist statement within itself. You know why? Because you didn't even mention about will it be other that women might want to watch football. It's women in the stands. He said the men are going to definitely enjoy this. They're going to be able to watch their football. He didn't say men and women will be able to sit up there and enjoy this and watch football. He didn't say men and women. He said men. Is that sexist? Because he left the woman out. Or if you want to go, well, if he's talking about, are we going to go, did he specifically say we talking about white men or black men, Hispanic men, Chinese men, Oriental, Chinese men, or Middle Eastern men that's going to enjoy this? Left them out. The lesbian gay community and whatnot, he left them out too. What's going on here nowadays? Go into YouTube. Go look at when Hal McRae loses it when this reporter asks him a question. Classic. It's classic. It's real. Bobby Bonilla. It's so many of these guys. Shaq. It's so many guys that go off at these reporters and stuff like that. But guess what? It's funny and crazy at the same time. But it's no big deal. Why? Because it's men. So now when women come into play, you don't supposed to act that way. Based upon what? If you come in here, this is what you got to deal with. This is if you're over here where the boys are at, this is how boys act. We're pigs, we're this, we're that, whatever you want to sit up there and say. But you're coming over here. Years ago, the lady reported big thing. Zeke Moore used to be a tight end for the New York Giants. I think he ended up getting traded to the Pats, and it was that locker room incident where I guess he must have showed his private part or whatever. Uncalled for, true indeed, uncalled for. But at the same time, what do you expect? But it's okay for a man to walk around with his junk dangling everywhere because there's another man up inside of there. It's not a big deal. But now if you look deep into it, is a reporter gay? Is he looking with? I mean, that's what I'm saying. You got to buy into all this stuff. But it's okay for a guy to jump around in front of another guy or saying that he's walking around naked. Oh, but that's just a guy he's reporting. It's no big deal. Well, it's the same thing for it. Ain't like I'm sure she's seen those particular body parts before. As long as dude is not trying to sit up there and put it in her face and make her do things with it, everything should be fine. She should be professional, correct? You have doctors that are female doctors and whatnot that have to check men's private area. It's professional. It's not. Where's the sexism at? Because the camera's not there. Some of these guys are immature. Okay, face it. A lot of them guys probably are immature because a lot of these guys are still mad young. You know what I'm saying? But it's like boys will be boys. I mean, you got to be respectful. I'm saying you be respectful, but at the same time, cut the self-righteousness and act like NFL is this beacon of is this beacon of purity is ridiculous. All sports is sexist. Are you kidding me? The NFL has 32 teams, if I'm not mistaken. 32 teams, which means they have 32 different cheerleaders. They basically wear the same freaking thing. If it Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders have been wearing the same thing for almost fucking 40 years, 40 plus years. All right, world renowned all across the world. Belly button out, short shorts. Got other girls wearing the same thing, spandex, all that, this, that, all of that. Where is the uproar on women about that? Where's the uproar? All these feminists, all of these people coming out. All these chicken shit reporters, whether it's Mitch Albom or any of these guys, these ex-athletes who say what they say to keep their job, and that's what's wrong with the country now. If you ask me, but everybody is fake. It's not real. Stop acting like everything. Oh, I can't believe it. Say, shut up, cut it out, man. You're being ridiculous. NFL have. That's it. Then I tell you what, ban all the cheerleaders. Then don't have them sit up. Have them in dresses. Better yet, have them dressed like cheerleaders because they're cheerleaders, and based upon what cheerleaders do from Pee Wee League or Little League, my daughter's a cheerleader. She dresses in a traditional cheerleader uniform. That's what she basically dresses in that cheerleading uniform. Where did they go from cheerleaders there, and in high school in cheerleader uniform, they're doing flips, it's competition, flips and this, that, and the other. Has nothing to do with showing spandex and short shorts. By the time you get to then college, the same thing. By the time you get to the pro, all that stuff is out the window, and it has to do with chicks walking around there, twisting, shaking their asses, barely dressed. That's what it has to do, and NFL sells that. Hypocrisy. NFL sells violence, sold violence through NFL films, through the Sables and the whole lot. And these guys made a shitload of money off of that. Now they're coming back and telling you, well, we're going to try to clean up the game and stuff like that. And then you hear all these guys running around there, oh, that hit was vicious. He can't do that. He can't do that. Like you really give a shit. Cut the crap. Cut the bullshit out, man. It's getting ridiculous. So this female reporter's all in her feelings. Somebody went and dug up something about her, which she wasn't even worth digging up anything about. Nobody never even heard of this chick until they said, yeah, and I said chick. Ain't heard nothing about her until this crap here came up. Then Cam apologized. Then Bannon, who sits up there, O'Bannon, or whatever the name of that yogurt place is, nobody even probably half a fucking heard of O'Bannon, that whatever the name of that yogurt thing is, and Cam put that on the map, and now they're going with that self-righteous bullshit. Then you got the NFL, all these executives in the NFL or in these companies that sponsor football or whatever and stuff like that. Well, half them guys running around probably got mistresses out the yin yang doing any and everything imaginable. You follow? But yet they're gonna pinpoint him. They still ain't done anything about Colin Kaepernick, any of that. But this right here, mind of it, this is just taking on Jackie McMullen. She calls Cam a knucklehead, but if Cam sit up there and said, shut your old bitter butt up, 80s hairstyle, walking around looking like a corpse, he'd be wrong. He'd be wrong. There's plenty of women that are very good in that field. Plenty of women that's been in that field, well respected in that field, that report and stuff like that. But you know, and I know, half the women on these shows, and I don't even watch ESPNs and all them other shows for the most part, because really the sports pregame and stuff is comical. It's not about, it's more of an entertainment factor. It's like certain parts of X and O's got ex-players acting a fool, trying to become movie stars or whatever they're trying to do. Talk about football or whatever. I have enough knowledge and can go through things and look at routes, defenses, and whatever, and look up stuff as much as I possibly can online or read different articles and find out what I need to. I just want the meat of the game. I don't care about all the dressing. I need the meat of the game and what's going on, game plans and stuff like that. All the rest of that crap, you could throw it out the window. I don't need to see all that stuff, all that other entertainment where they have two dudes up there and it has one woman at the table now. That is almost like that's a prerequisite. You got Nick Wright and Chris Carter. They have a show. Well, I forget the name of the show off the top of my head. And they got this woman that's up there with them where they just pulled her from out of wherever she came from, because I don't remember seeing her in too many other sports things. I think she's news. ABC, wherever she was doing the news at. Now they put her at the table. Half of these people are here for, because half of these women are there for eye candy and eye candy only. You know it and I know it. Half of them don't have a clue what they're talking about. They're just there because they look good. I haven't yet seen Pam Oliver, and Pam Oliver has been strolling the sidelines for damn near 20 some odd years, and she don't even have a freaking show yet. And I've watched some of these women that had shows on TV with some of these guys that talk football who probably don't know anything about football. They're there. Pam Oliver still sitting up there strolling the sidelines out there on a frozen tundra over in Green Bay somewhere. She's always on the sidelines. But that's okay though. But like I said, so when it comes to women or whatever, no, if you step over into that world, you got to get ready for knuckleheads like this. Not because God said call him a knucklehead, because he shouldn't have even asked. He shouldn't even answer the question. Or he should have made her explain what you're talking about. The city go back to see it, to make it to go back and break down what exactly are you talking about, because in essence it doesn't make any sense. More physicality in his route running. You're being physical when you walk. You're being physical when you talk. You're being physical walking, talking. Any movement is physical. Your hand gestures is physical. Any more physical? What do you talk? Explain that to me. Throw it back on and see what she really knows about that. Or she should have said it, made her say it the way it was supposed to be said. Is he's getting out of his route? I say he's starting to get out of his route because he used to get jammed up under the line of scrimmage. But don't sit up there. He shouldn't just flip it back on her like that. But he shouldn't have really. But it shouldn't have grown legs the way it's grown now. And everybody got something to say. And you're not going to get anything out of thinking, oh, Cam should have said, shut up. Because everybody knows behind closed doors when these guys walk away, all these guys on them, reporters or whomever, they got something to say. The league is sexist. NFL is sexist. NBA is sexist. NHL is sexist. Period. This country sexist. Always has been. Always will be. You follow? You go. I say so. The majority of the sports that's watched in this country, who is it watched by? Men. Who's buying all of the memorabilia and all that stuff? Men. Who goes to all the different autograph card shows? Men. Who's going to be the majority of people at the Super Bowl? Men. Who's going to be buying all the beer, hot dogs, and nachos and all that? Men. You know what I'm saying? Who's going to be seeking and trying to get autographs, this, that, and the other? Men. In all of the facets of it. So it's a men-driven society in a men-driven league. So when women step into that realm, expect for this type of behavior and stop acting like you've never heard it before. Because you hear it anytime you step into, well, that's a club. No, it doesn't matter. Still a club, boys club. Deal with it. Long as the joker's not touching you and putting his hands on you, you may as well go ahead and deal with that. But to me, if he didn't say you got some nice cans and I'm not used to the girl with cans like you doing, I get it. He didn't do that. Because obviously it has never happened for them to ask him about running routes. They probably ask him about how the game came on, stuff like that. No, about the game, not so much about a particular play, not about the precise running route of Devin Funches and or whatever and all this other kind of stuff. So that whole thing. So so it's just completely blown out of proportion, and everybody had something to say. But it's like, but yet, if he blew up at her, he would be wrong. But yet, athletes blow up at reporters all the time, and it's never said why, because it's men on men, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares. It's men on men. When a woman gets, well, you stepped over in there. Now you call me a sexist or whatever. I don't watch WNBA. I don't watch any women's sports. Doesn't do anything for me. I don't watch women's sports. I'm a football guy for the most part. Period. And I don't watch women. I don't watch the WNBA. I don't watch women's softball. I don't watch that. It's that's just my preference. I'm old school, I guess. Call it what you want. 50 years old, I could care less. I don't watch it, and I really don't particularly, or really, I can respect a woman that sits up there and talk sports. That's fine, but but I don't really watch those shows, and it really doesn't have anything to do with females. It has to do with the stuff at hand. That stuff is more comical entertainment. Guys making noises, trying to make funny faces, coming up with little slogans and stuff. I could care. I just want to see people that talk about the game. That's it. I don't want to hear all that other crap that comes along with it and stuff like that, or the window dressing that they're doing with these with these uh with these female reporters. Like the same thing that happened whenever that the guy LeVar Ball, and then the thing went on Colin Cowherd's show and all that, and he said I ain't dealing with you or whatever like that. Everybody ran with that and stuff like that. She was being disrespectful, but because she's a woman, oh okay, well you can't talk to no. I talk to you how I want to talk to you. If you want to sit up there and spit and say something slick about me or say something bad about me, I have the same right to say it back to you. And people are like, I don't supposed to be able to do that. Then keep your mouth shut then. Then we don't have to, then we don't talk to each other, we good. But cut the crap out though. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. The hypocrisy of all of this is ridiculous. In the NFL and all this kind of stuff, because what is the NFL do? Cam got to issue the pot, but the NFL really can't do anything about it because they can sit up and put the mirror right on them. Look at what the NFL does. And I'm like, where are these women? Women like, I can't remember what's her name? Jordan Rodriguez or whatever her damn name is. Is she bitching and complaining about the exploitation and objectification of females in football as cheerleaders? Is she doing that? Matter of fact, where are the men? Why isn't it guys out there with shorts on, no shirts on or whatever, showing their pecs and their biceps and stuff like that out there? You know that shit will not sell. I said, where's the uproar? Do you hear men talking about doing that? Where is that at? But no, you're not talking about that as those women are being objectified. You're not talking about that. All you want to do is sit up there and say something, and Cam not even know made this chick famous for no reason when he could have literally just shut her down. But he wasn't thinking like with most of these athletes before they say something, knowing that anything that you say is going to be magnified. It's just like they're looking, because that's what reporters do, look for something to exploit so they can talk shit about. That's the game. And he fell right into it. Then he has an issue. Then he makes an apology. And then he gets dumped by some yoga company nobody probably pretty much even heard of until he started being, man, they might have been around, because I don't eat yoga like that. So I could care less about Cam and him trying to, making some extra money pushing yogurt. That's his business. That's my point, though. It's absolutely ridiculous on how this whole thing is just completely blown up. And I won't even look at some. I've heard they ask Ray Lewis and they ask Shannon Sharp and all these guys. I'm like, I don't even want to hear their response, because they're going to do the dignified response in a lot of cases. He was wrong. He should have did it. This, that, and the other. And get out of here with that bullshit. I don't even want to hear it. It's ridiculous, and you know it. It's ridiculous, and you know it is ridiculous. All of them guys, I don't give a Skip Bayless, whoever, Michael, where they got it just on there with Jamil Hill. I don't want to hear anything these people have to say about that particular incident, because it's blown out of proportion. Now I want to see I want to see this broad here, whatever her name is. I want to see her high end reporting and her story and her writing and all that. And I want to see her blow up and end up being somewhere on Fox 5 or CNN or whatever due to her great reporting. That's what I want to see her end up blowing up. It ain't gonna make no difference whether she blow up or not with me, because I could care less. But just to go to show, you just made a nobody famous. A nobody famous, when all he had to do was just make her explain herself and making it realize how silly, how that question is kind of idiotical. It doesn't even make any sense. But yet he's getting crucified for that type of mess. But yet Colin Kaepernick still stays out of football. I don't hear her talking about, what about Colin Kaepernick? Why isn't an owner here trying to sign this guy when you got these quarterbacks going down and hurt and you won't even try to sign him? But yet y'all came out and supposedly solidarity for the national anthem, which it has nothing to do with the national anthem. It has to do, that's a whole nother story in itself. It's ridiculous. But you're going to mess with him about this? And like I said, again, go back to Jack McMullen. He's a knucklehead. Yeah, okay. But if he called it, I would. Well, if Cam was massive out there and to Jackie McMullen, you're a fucking knucklehead. You're nothing. You're a knucklehead. Go back and write your stuff that you've been writing and keep that 80s hairstyle. Keep doing that. Do that. You know what I'm saying? Go do that or whatever. But then he would be wrong if he did that. He would be completely wrong, disrespectful, in every other word that you could come up with. So I don't want to hear that all of the stuff that the female report. I don't care. You know what you was getting into. I say this is the same thing back when we used to do back in PE when we had to do push-ups. Boys had to do push-ups the regular way push-ups. Girls could sit up there and do push-ups on their knees. That's equality? No, cut the crap. Don't make it in. Or whenever women go into war and they're fighting, so the enemy is no, you can't shoot at her because she's a girl, or she has to do this because she's a girl, or she can't carry this because she's a girl. Then what the fuck is she doing in there in the first place? Then no. Equal is equal on these terms here, even down to physicality. Or we already know that guys are stronger. I don't care. You want equality. This is how it works. And this is how it's done. That's why I don't want to hear nothing about, oh, I've heard all this stuff about those female Jordans. This girl could do this. Brittany, Ryan, all them they could play. They could probably play in the NBA. Put her on in the NBA. If it's no sexism, then why is it a WNBA? If it's no sexism, then why is there a women's track and field? If there's no sexism, then why isn't there why isn't there a, you know what I'm saying, we shouldn't have a, well, I don't even know if you got a women's football thing. It's lingerie football. We already see what that's all about, just with the term lingerie. Then if it's all equal, then we shouldn't have all these other things. Or it should be one NFL, one NBA, no women's basketball association, no women's soccer team, no women's baseball team. It should be no softball, no underhand pitching, none of that. One thing. That's what it should be. And you're going to sit up there and say sexism, sex. When you say sex, I'm thinking of the act, or they talk about genders or whatever you want to sit up there. Sex. Again, like I said yesterday, but nobody will pick that up. A guy said on ESPN, a announcer, oh God, men are going to love this. They can watch their sports and everything like that. Women don't watch sports. That's a sexist remark, because you're saying that women don't watch sports. And I see women up in the stands. Is he going to get off of that? Or if a guy sit up there and see an attractive woman and he says something in that, oh, he shouldn't have said that. He shouldn't have said that. Shut up with that bullshit. The self-righteousness that goes on in this country, all these so-called self-righteous people need to cut the bullshit out and stop it. I very seldom ever curse or say anything like that on these things here, on any of my. This is the first time I think I have, because it's the absolute ridiculousness of it and the hypocrisy of the NFL. This the hypocrisy. No bigger sexism or goes on, and then what happens in the NBA and in the NFL? You gotta be kidding me. You have got to be kidding me. The exploitation of people and players in general. That's why they can't stand when Richard Sherman says stuff. We care about our players. Then we're gonna try to add on 2 more games along with the 4 that you already got to play in preseason. But you're worried about what? You're worried about head injuries. You don't give a shit about head injuries. Ron Mix, a Hall of Fame tackle, probably the second AFL Hall of Famer that goes into the NFL Hall of Fame. He was talking about head trauma when Outside the Lines first started coming on back in the early 90s. And he was telling people about head trauma back then, and about leaving the game, and how the game from a mental standpoint of view was from a mental standpoint, because of the war and the physicality of the game and stuff, how it leaves players after all the cheering is left. And it's almost like when guys will come back home from Vietnam, from wars. Ron Mix was talking about this all before this became chic to talk about with CTE. What did the NFL do then? Nothing. I saw it until it had to be, I think, 2010, when Jokers was getting knocked out this particular day. Deshaun Jackson was getting knocked out. Muhammad, I want to say Muhammad Sanu, one of them guys, I can't remember his name. James Harris knocked these guys out. Them guys, they had a bunch, just guys was just getting knocked out. And then they had their epiphany. And then all of a sudden it just started coming open. But Ron Mix already was talking about it. Go back and look it up. He was one of the first NFL players I remember ever talked about that. Hall of Famer. Now, he probably don't mean nothing now because I think he had gotten into some legal troubles about taxes or fraud or something like that. So his name, so if you got a little of that, all of a sudden, even though you may spit some truth and come up with nothing but facts, but because you have something in the personal happen in your life that you did something that might have was cruddy, all of a sudden this doesn't mean anything anymore. But those are still facts. And I remember that. And this was right when Outside the Line was first coming on. Go look it up. You follow? But this is what I'm talking about. And like I said, anybody got any comments, leave it on my YouTube page, Everything Football 62. Check me out on Twitter, Everything Football 62, Untucked Men 62. You can check it out, leave a comment, start some dialogue. I'm sure got a lot of people going to say a lot of different things, but I really could care less and whatnot about that. Like I said, the woman asks a better question. Ask a better question. And Cam, think before you speak sometime. You know what I'm saying? And like, just, because you're in this so-called sensitive society where you gotta, nah. I mean, like I said, if I'm looking for what I'm looking for next, and it's gonna be a big fallout, is when one of these female reporters asks one of these guys a question, and it ends up being a big jawing back and forth, and he says something out of his mouth, and what's gonna happen to him then? That's what I'm looking for. But she'll be the one initiated it though, and he's gonna be the one that ends up paying the price for it, or whatever. So, that's what I'm talking about that. So it's like I say, if you don't want the type of stuff that's gonna go on with some of these testosterone driven, steroid taking, always everything handed to them on a silver platter since they was in little league, through junior high, through high school, through college, and everything, millionaire type guys in their 20s and stuff like that. If you already know what's gonna happen with these guys. You already know because you've been dealing with, you've seen it, this documented. So look, you know what you're dealing with. So let's cut the mess out. Let's stop it, cut it out, and cut this thing off because I don't want to hear about what female reporters. I don't care. I don't care. Y'all are in that. Now y'all literally taking over damn near all the damn sports shows. You gotta have y'all at the desk. And some of them up there as dingbats, and you know it. Don't know anything about football. They're just there because they look good. Period. They might get know a little something here and there. I'm not talking about all. I'm talking about I know there's some good ones out there. I love to hear Jamil Hills talk about sports. That Linda Cohen, all of them, they've been talking about sports for years. Pam Oliver and all of them, I don't even know what, she don't even have a show. But I'm like, enough of that already. What did he do? Did he grab her? Did he call her toots? Did he call her dame? Did he call her broad? He just said he's not used to the female asking him about routes, and y'all run with this bullshit here? All y'all need to be ashamed of yourself, man. All of y'all need to be ashamed of yourself. It's ridiculous. Like I said, that's it from the show, man. I've ran it long enough. I've ran it to the point where I'm sweating. Y'all guys have a good one. We talk to you later. Get ready to watch these games later. Peace.